Welcome to this video explaining how to make a basic configuration in the Suction Group Controller plugin. Now let's proceed with making the configuration. Open the plugin. Similarly to the rack, discharge groups and suction groups are displayed as frames in their respective sections. In the basic configuration that we want to have, we'll have one discharge group, one suction group, and 4 compressors of type fixed. In order to add a discharge group or any component, we have to be in edit mode. Click on the edit mode button in the bottom left corner. A green plus button will appear in the discharge group section. Click on it to add a discharge group. In the added discharge group frame, click on the menu button and select configuration. In the inputs tab, we'll configure a universal input for the discharge pressure. Click on the config button, and it's here that we can change the model of the sensor. Click OK to close the window. In the config tab, there is no identification given to the discharge group. In that case, it will have a default identification. We'll leave it as such. For the other parameters, we'll keep the default values. Click OK to close this window, and we've configured the discharge group. Now let's configure the suction group. The plugin is already configured with one suction group by default. Let's click on the menu button on the suction group frame, select configuration. In the config tab, we can see that the set point is displayed in pressure units. It would have been possible to show the set point as a saturated temperature by going in the Global tab and selecting Saturated Temperature as a display unit. Go back in the Config tab, and let's give an identification or a name to our suction group. We'll call it plus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. For the type of suction group, it is set to medium temperature. That's what we want. In the discharge group drop-down, select discharge group 1. For the set point, if we hover the mouse on top of the control, it will display the corresponding value in temperature units. If we click on the control, there is a small window showing its value in temperature units and in pressure units. We can modify either one of them if we want to make a change. For the base value, which is the demand when we reach the set point, we will keep it to the default value. We'll do the same with the PID. Check the auto option for the pop-down. For the limit, which is the pressure under which we will stop having at least one compressor running, and the hysteresis, which is the range above the set point after which we will restart the compressors after a stoppage, we will keep them to the default value. Let's click OK to close the window, and we've configured the suction group. Now for the compressors, the suction group is already configured with one compressor by default. In our configuration, we want 4 compressors of type fixed. Let's configure the existing compressor. The compressor type is already set to fixed. And for the discharge group, the compressor is already associated with discharge group 1. For the other parameters, we'll keep the default values, but we could easily change the capacity of the compressor. In the Inputs tab, we'll configure the proof of running to a universal input, and it will be set by default to a low side switch for the sensor type. In the Outputs tab, the relay output is already configured. And we've quickly configured the first compressor. To add the 3 other compressors, we could use this button to add 3 more compressors. However, there's another option. Since all our compressors are of the same type, there is on the compressor button, when we click on it, the option to duplicate the compressor. So we'll use this option and create our 3 other compressors. If we open one of the compressors, we can see that even the input that we had configured in the first compressor is configured here. The next step is to configure the inputs and outputs. Go in the I/O Assignments tab. We'll go on the second module. We'll start by assigning the discharge pressure of the discharge group. Then we'll assign the suction pressure of the suction group and the suction temperature of the suction group. Then we'll assign the proof of running of the 4 compressors. And the 4th one. And finally, we'll go on the 3rd module and assign the relay outputs of the 4 compressors. And the last one. Go back to the Process tab. We can see that the 4 compressors are in white, which means that they are not available. And we can also see that the status of the suction group is stopped, and that we have the set point and the actual suction pressure. There is no compressor demand shown, and the percentage of compressors running is 0. Click on the Apply button. The 4 compressors become gray, indicating that they are not running. The status of the suction group is still stop, but we see that the actual pressure is under the set point. Let's raise the pressure to start the suction group. And now the compressors become green, indicating that they're running, and the status of the suction group changed to normal. We see that we have a 100% demand, and that the actual number or percentage of compressors running is 100. So we've learned in this video how to proceed to make a basic configuration.